Okay.
All set?
Okay, you're ready.
Okay, so let's call the meeting to order. Before we start our housekeeping things, we have a member of the public here. Is there something Lee would like to address? Or just?
Yeah, actually.
I'll let you go first, so you don't have to sit through the
All right.
admin stuff.
On the Flint Mine Solar project, the town of Athens has kind of spoken as a board. I don't represent Flint Athens, I'm just myself, but I was a citizen on there at their meeting, that they would like there to be no mortgage tax exemption on Flint Mine Solar. And you obviously have to confirm it with them because I don't represent them. They would like a better escalation clause because right now it lags inflation. And trying to think, there was another point. Oh, security. A lien on the obligation. And then with regard to the Athens Gen project, I went on.
Can I just ask a question? So you're not representing the town.
That's right.
But you're just representing to us what the town board discussed?
Yes, so you'll have to go to them, go to the source.
Okay.
But they need to come to us, Lee, honestly. I mean, they need to
Right.
come in and
Yep.
articulate that to us.
Okay.
But,
And did they have any observation on their community host fee?
No.
No. Okay. Just rounding that out. They.
Yeah. On the Athens Gen project, I went on your website to pull the application for financial assistance. And it looks like it's like a PDF form that has limited field size. And then when you run over the characters, it just goes below the field. So I couldn't see a lot of this stuff.
I can update that. I can put a version of it that they had, but it's not signed, because when they signed it, they must have scanned it in.
Okay. And attachment C was missing.
I will double check that.
And then also thinking back to the last meeting I attended back in November, April, I think you mentioned that the town supervisor was talking directly with Athens Gen.
Well, Athens Gen has been in discussion with them, yes.
Or is the town negotiating like a separate host agreement? Does the IDA consider?
Currently, we are working on negotiating the pilot, and we are working on our finding statement. We have been meeting with the taxing jurisdictions, but they're not negotiating anything with the pilot directly. That would go through the IDA.
How about like a separate host agreement like with Flint Mine Solar? Is that something?
Unaware of it, yep. I do not know if they've been in discussion about the host fee.
Would the IDA allow something like that?
We wouldn't, just like with Flint Mine Solar, we're not in control of that. So it's not a matter of allowing or not allowing. If the town wanted to approach Athens Gen about a separate host fee, that would be up to the town.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take care of the website today. I'll double check the Athens Gen issues, but thank you.
What would even if Athens doesn't have a separate host fee, what would their approval authority, if anything? I mean, I know you guys
our
have
process is that we would send out a deviation notice to the taxing jurisdictions. We set up a public hearing. They can come and speak at the public hearings just like any entity can. So that's their avenue to discuss publicly. I mean, we've been meeting, like I said, with the town, the taxing jurisdictions, town, county, and school, pretty much since 2018. We've been meeting with them regarding Athens Gen pilot. So
Okay.
I talk to Mike daily.
All right.
Okay?
Thanks.
Sure.
all right. Okay, let's start with a reading the approval of the minutes for our December 15th, 2022 meeting. I need a motion to approve those.
So moved.
I need a second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and,
I will, I have reviewed and will make a motion to approve the cash flow statements as presented.
okay, I need a second on
Second
that.
that.
All those in favor?
Aye. And I will make a motion to approve the check detail as presented.
Okay, a second on that?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Obviously, April just mentioned we have the annual disclosure forms. Probably if you get them done today before you leave, April, that would be helpful.
It would be helpful, but I can collect them,
You take them all.
especially for those who are not here. If you want to take a break, we have another member of the public that just joined us. Did you want to speak?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Your name?
I'm Susan Zimmet, Z-I-M-E-T, 84 Superstitious Drive, Coxsackie, New York, Sleepy Hollow. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late, I passed it, because I see the real estate side.
That's fine.
Anyway, I'm sorry I didn't make it to the public hearing. I had intended to, but I ended up with COVID, so I don't think you want to do that. So I just wanted to very quickly, I was the supervisor of the town of Newport from 96 to 2000, as a county legislator from 2003 to 2012, and then even the Republicans and Democrats begged me to come back to Newport as supervisor, and I ended up serving again from 2012 to 2016. So I only bring that up because I had a lot of experience working with IDAs and negotiating payment in lieu of taxes. And so I just want to say on the solar stuff that I know that the board has been working very closely with everybody to try to get $100,000 put aside to either the town, the village, or the county, one of the taxing jurisdictions, in order to be able to monitor the impact of the construction and continuation of the solar on the lake. And I just, as somebody who's negotiated pilots, the reality is, and you guys know as an IDA, and I just have to tell you, I am working with a developer who's trying to do a project in Catskill that you're working closely with, that I'm trying to tell very much because I believe in the right development very, very much. And the IDAs are there to help, with businesses to cut through the red tape and, do what's best for the community. But you also have to protect the community and you have to protect the taxing jurisdiction. There is no business that wants to pay more money than they have to mitigate any kind of problems if they don't have to do it. And it is really up to the governing bodies and the IDA to make sure that as you move a project forward, that you're also protecting the community. And the lake in Sleepy Hollow obviously is a jewel of Sleepy Hollow. It's the backup system for the water for the village of Athens, and we're probably the largest taxing jurisdiction, in this region. So if anything should happen to the water during, contamination of the water, degradation of the water during the building of it, the community doesn't have the kind of money to, deal with those kinds of issues, nor do they have the money to monitor those kinds of issues. They just did a massive analysis, and they actually got a lot of people responding to what they want to see in the community. And out of the response, what came is, we don't want to see you invest in any other kind of recreational or infrastructure improvements that don't have to be done. We want you to keep our fees down. Let's do what we can do best with the land that we have. And when I first got to Sleepy Hollow 7 years ago, when I left Newport and I started working up in Albany in anti-hunger, what was I going to say? That when I went to the very first board meeting, I sort of had to laugh in a second. It wasn't funny, but what I saw was exactly what happens in every town around the Hudson Valley, where we have the city coming up, putting pressure on, the cost of houses sky rising, the people from the city, and I was from the city, so, but I've lived in Newport and upstate for over 45 years. I just can't get rid of the accent. But I was going to say that, you had the same dynamic at Sleepy Hollow at their budget hearing, where you had people wanting to spend more money on the, police that we have, the security people, and others saying, no, 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 no. And I had to stand up and say, this is a typical fight in every town where you have people coming in wanting more services because they can afford to pay the taxes, people who are living here who can't even afford the taxes anymore, even if they paid off their mortgage, and they want to keep expenses down. And so that's the balance that we have kind of stuff. And I just think it really is incumbent on the IDA, to work with, the county, the town, the village, to make sure that there is a intervenor fund to protect and monitor the lake, to ensure that there's no problems, because I'm telling you, the community can't afford to pay for monitoring it, and God forbid there should be a problem, we certainly can't remediate. So I'm just hoping that you, as the authority that's negotiating this deal, understands they're getting a massive, massive profit. so to ask for whatever money is needed to just protect the community at large is what I'm requesting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And if I could just also, maybe I should, it's a letter I gave to Senator Hinchy, who I know very well, to also, I sort of just so you know, I met with somebody from Senator Hinchy's office on Sunday, and I saw Senator Hinchy at her inauguration, and so I did talk to her also about, trying to pay attention to what our need is. So anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so on to housing, April.
Okay, well, just under annual tasks also with the disclosure forms, I just gave you a brief update of, everything that we go through for our audit work, which is underway. The employment letters were sent out to our pilots, so we track that. We track other metrics as well. Pilots have been invoiced. As we receive those checks, we send out the pilots to the taxing jurisdictions. Special districts have been paid, and we also bill out common charges. So those are under annual tasks. If you have any questions about that process, let me know.
Okay.
Under housing, I have been doing other research still with other IDA incentive packages, how we're eligible under general municipal law. I did draft a housing policy, which I'll send out to the committee to review once I finish updating it. And then we'll also have to update our project evaluation policy to include housing if we do decide to go that route. But I'll set up another housing committee meeting. In your packet, there is a map for the next number. So under field of flags, currently, if you notice on the 9W, as you're coming around the bend past National Bank of Coxsackie, there's an American Legion sign that we allow them to just place there. They mow around it and maintain around it. Donnie Dowse came and asked me if they could put a field of flags there, which after some discussion, I felt it was kind of dangerous to have them there because people like to pull over, take pictures. It's right after that curve. So we own another piece of property, that Anderson parcel, that's what it's tagged, 317 Mansion Street. It's vacant right now. We have put it up for sale. We might have other mitigation plans for that in the future, but they are requesting to put the field of flags there. Parking would come in much easier, safer. They would mow a little bit more, clean it up. And it would just be an agreement just for this year. For about a month.
For all year? Oh, for about.
No, like about Memorial Day, they said about a month.
Has
We'll
he
get
looked
a.
at this site yet? Talk to Donnie about this?
Yeah, so I gave him this map. He's going back to his committee to see if this would work, just because of safety issues.
Right.
I would also request a COI, a certificate of insurance from them.
Okay.
But I
It's
just
the
felt,
same as the one in Greenville, basically?
yeah, with all the flags, it's nice.
Nice.
So,
Could you just, I hate to admit this, but I'm not quite sure I know what a field of flags is. I mean, I can
oh, so the
imagine,
field of flags,
but I just want to make sure I
I
understand.
believe it's for veterans.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
okay.
people sponsor a flag and then there's just like,
All of the,
I
the
just
small
don't-
ones, okay.
no,
No,
it's a nice, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Greenville School hosts it in front of their,
It's
Building.
impressive. I saw it at school. I thought it was impressive.
I can send you a picture of Greenville.
Do you
Oh,
think
no,
they'll
that's
actually be able to
okay.
get those flags into that ground there? I mean,
Well,
Right.
it's not paved,
yeah.
and we've had it mowed and cleaned up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
And it was-
It was a staging area. We let
Yeah,
the
all right.
town use it for the.
I don't have a problem with the project. I just think that,
I think they're gonna have to do their due diligence and go
Yeah.
out there and look and see if it's
Yeah.
really feasible. But that is really the only other parcel right now that's not being used. And it would be free to them.
April, while we're on the topic of the parcels, and I don't know if Renee mentioned this, I ran by him yesterday. Mark Evans had called me, and he was looking to see if there was a place in any of our IDA property that they could locate a helicopter landing zone for the med flights, because right now they've been landing in school parking lot and the football field. And, yeah, so, I said I'm I like the concept, I just didn't know what we had for availability.
How much acreage are
Well, he
they?
said 100 by 100. I don't know if they even need something that big, but it was kind of, let me see, I wanted to talk to the board to see what people thought. And then obviously we'd have to look at some maps. And now they said their, premise was that he would with the county make an access to it, and, it would be no cost to us. He just needed the land and, something else. I don't think it's a permanent, it's not gonna be a permanent fixture, so it wouldn't be like we'd be giving up something forever if we did do it.
Okay, I mean, we do have
Yeah.
obviously some acreage in Culpepper. It's
Yeah.
just that's prime real estate for the
Yeah.
retail. So
No,
I need to
absolutely.
know, like, is it a free donation?
Well, we wouldn't be donating, I think it'd be usage.
Usage.
Yeah, they'd be using it.
But we'd have to, well, we can discuss it later. I just have to think of logistics of where, how close
Yep.
to Coxsackie.
I think we just need to look at the map and see if there's any place possible, even if it was on an existing client's property there, they may be okay with it too, because it is a, medical evacuation point. But I do think it would be a good thing if we could do it.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of med flights that come down here to the school. It's a cluster, frankly, because my wife works there, they had to clear all the kids out of the track and everything one day, they get all scared, what's going on?
Sure.
Okay,
And it could be, your own life one day and that thing, right in the back. So when it's a dedicated spot, it's on their map, so they know right to go there, where right now they have to wait for clearance to even know it's available, so.
Yeah, we need a piece of blacktop somewhere, there's gotta be
I
something.
think they even do it maybe on a shale pad, I think on a stone pad, they can do it.
Yeah, sure.
They can land on the grass or whatever is okay. They just need if they have a designated spot that's clear and that the vehicles can get to.
right.
Why don't we get some, some estimated ideas of what they're gonna have to invest to make it even a temporary site?
Yeah.
So that we can consider, what parcel makes the most sense in that scenario.
And I can talk to Renee, because we have mitigating land, but I'm not sure exactly what we can and can't do.
Right.
So,
That's why I was
We can
saying,
look
there's not
at it.
any permanent fixtures in there. Because I don't envision them putting lights or any of that. I don't even know if they might not even need a paved thing, just a stone pad would probably do it.
Because
So-
even this Anderson parcel, which, obviously the property in the back, we
Yeah.
don't want to disturb because of
Yeah.
habitat.
Yeah.
But maybe this is a use for a piece of property that like this.
Yep.
And, as long as the numbers aren't too high that, you'd say, well, the county's in tens of thousands of dollars and then
Yeah.
we sell it, 2 months later.
Right.
We got to keep his eyesight on that.
Did they say, how long is temporary? Let's say we find a place where they don't need to make investment. It's,
This was very conceptual right now. Mark just called me, ran the idea by me, and I said, on the surface, I like it, and let's just see if it's possible. So I think we're a ways from knowing even any of that yet, but it was just like, let's take a look and see if we can do it.
is
I think it'd be a
this,
good idea to help them if we can.
oh,
I think it
sure.
would too. I like the idea, but yeah.
I mean, this might be a crazy idea, but if Save-A-Lot's leaving, would that,
we'll talk about state a lot in a little bit, because we already have interest.
Well, it strikes
Already
me that
called.
as large as the town is, if, in thinking about this, they might want to do, we should have the array of their ideas as you're, just in case, because if you know how those medevacs work, right? Sometimes by the time the ambulance gets the person to the medevac, they could have been in Albany. You have to really,
They
right,
can't even take off the person's stable, but
right.
time is of essence in those things.
Yeah.
If they just have a dedicated spot on their map, they go right to it, and then the EMS or whatever goes right to that spot too.
Right.
So it does cut down on some possible time. So it's just early on. I didn't think anybody would have any objections to it on the surface, but we don't have all the details yet, so.
And if it's in the radius that they're looking for, I think you should mention to Sean Groden too, with the jail property and then the parcel next door that I believe
there's
they
10 acres there.
control.
Yeah, we'll send her some stuff.
Nate brought up, and I think was maybe even a better idea in some sense, and being in practice, the jail is one of their, they, had to fly people out of there, even the guards, potentially could be, could be a
Yeah.
scenario there, so that could be a good spot over there too, so we're just,
Built-in control of the site, somewhat because they're already there.
so I'll reach back out to Mark, just tell him on the surface, we like the idea, we've got to look at some maps, and if he could get some more details of what their specs are,
Okay.
Did you need any vote on the field of flags?
Um,
I don't think so, but I'm just asking.
just approval that I can work with them
Yep.
for that site.
Yeah, I'll put that motion forward. We need a second on that.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to projects. So, Athens Gen, sort of gave an update in the beginning then. We have a meeting with the taxing jurisdictions. We're currently working on the finding statement. It'll be distributed to the board after Paul reviews it. Our next steps will be to follow up meetings with the taxing jurisdictions. We have to send out deviation notice, set up a public hearing, but we'll do that at our next meeting after the draft is complete. Okay. Flipmine Solar, we are still waiting on the PSC, Public Service Commission, to decide, make their decisions before we finalize our finding statement, comment period. The responses, there were numerous ones regarding those amendments, so we're waiting to see what the PSC does so that we can complete those responses.
Is the comment period still open?
No, the comment period closed, but we're just waiting on the PSC. So I also included just a brief overview of what the modifications are looking like, reducing some of the, or changing some of the arrays, reducing the acreage, reducing the driveway. So that's Flipmine Solar. Any questions?
Paul, are you trying to say something, Paul?
No.
Okay. And just an update to complete Wyndham Weiler. They are moving ahead with their case loans.
That's all done in terms of that's ready. It's been signed, so that's moving forward.
Okay. So any questions on any other projects that I don't have listed that you might want to know more about? Okay, moving on to our parks. In Greene Business Technology Park, Sun Dragon Cannabis has come forward. We've been working with them for a couple years. There's some details in the executive director report on Sun Dragon Cannabis. I'm looking for a motion to have Eric sign an option agreement with them. So this would be the 27-acre parcel right next door to Save-A-Lot. It would be typical of our options that we do now. We're 6 months free, and then if they want to continue it for 6 months, it's $5,000. We've been waiting for the state to move forward. So the state put out their rules and regulations in December. Their Sun Dragon is waiting for them to open up the application process. But in getting the application complete, they need to secure the land, and that would do the form.
Have we done due diligence on their financing for this?
For Sun Dragon Cannabis,
Yeah.
we have some numbers in, but we're waiting. If they get permitted by the state, then
They have to establish they have the
it will be
funds
quite
to-
established. And I've also
Okay.
put them in touch with National Bank of Coxsackie, so they've been meeting with them as well.
Okay, and that's for the land and
It's
the
for
building, for
everything.
the entire project? Okay, that they've.
So right now, it's just the option for the land.
Yep.
We haven't moved forward on anything else yet.
Okay, I just am asking because to tie it up for so long.
Well, the option is, what was the length on that?
6
6 months, and then if we want to
I don't
read.
envision anything.
We've had 3 or 4 companies come forward, and this is the one that we found viable.
Okay,
How many jobs are they talking?
At this time, I'm not exactly sure, but it would be indoor greenhouse jobs. I can get those numbers for you in specs.
Probably similar to the one up in Ravenna, right? Although that was designed for medical, right? What's up there, Curaleaf?
Curaleaf,
Yeah.
That's
Right,
a
and
massive operation up there.
Yeah, it's gonna look a little different than that. That one's more
Right.
like, it looks like a distribution center where it's like concrete boxed in. This is.
Right, but that's a
like
medical
warehouses.
facility, so it's got a whole lot of different rules and regs.
I think they're fairly labor-intensive businesses, aren't they? Is my
I don't know, I don't think that they're as pleasurable as you might think. Yeah, no, in terms of managing the
Expecting something
greenhouse.
different.
Yes, I mean, it's agricultural,
You're growing something,
right,
yeah,
and it's,
Farming.
It's farming.
So that's-
it's very temperature sensitive, there's a lot of stuff to it, yeah.
Yeah, and they got a process.
A lot of water,
I mean,
I mean, there's,
processing is manual.
yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of manual work. to
So
process.
under the executive, I just took one quick paragraph out, they're planning to be like net zero. So recycling all their water, all their grow medium. They're going to be greenhouses, so they're going to be using the light for the greenhouses, and they're planning on putting solar behind the greenhouses and towards the back of the field.
Where are they sourcing the water from?
Well, they will be hooked up to village water and sewer, but they're going to be putting in a way to recapture, yeah.
Okay.
So it's not gonna be
it'll
high,
a
yeah.
meaningful draw on the.
No.
Okay.
Which the village would want, frankly.
Yeah.
They're desperate for users, for their system.
Oh. Okay, I didn't realize that.
Oh, the IDA has put money into extending, they don't have, the users that they have can't support the system. It's not unlike the Village of Athens, et cetera, so in terms of the infrastructure, the pipes and when things, So there have been capacity, when I say desperate, there was a period of time where the village didn't have capacity, so they couldn't grow businesses. People couldn't hook in,
I remember all of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
and there have been infrastructure updates that have allowed them to add capacity
So
in a negotiated manner.
Oh, right.
we currently have a reserve of that capacity because we did some work on the
Because we
I&I.
pay, the IDA is paid for some of the infrastructure work.
Right, so for
Okay.
example, Peter Hunter Motor Coach is moving forward with their bill. They purchased the land behind Soflini in 2020, and now they're hooking up. So we have that capacity on reserve for them to hook up.
Okay.
I guess I have just two questions, as I would be interested in the other parties that have indicated interest in the property, and if there is, real substantial reasons that this is not more competitive.
No, we
And then-
actually met with another group more recently, and they were looking at the parcel in Kalkberg. So we have other land that's available for other entities if we wanted to sell land to another growth facility, but this is the only one that's actually stepped forward and asked for an option at this time. The other three companies have sort of disappeared from radar. I've reached out and have heard nothing back.
Yeah, my experience was I had one that wanted to purchase my warehouse and there was no funding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the delays have been because the state is, working on their rules, regulations, the application process. But as soon as the application opens, this group is ready.
Okay. I guess my second question is why free? Seems like we're
Our
giving
typical
our,
option for the first 6 months, that's how we've done it with almost all of our land is the first 6 months free. And then if they want to continue it, it's a $5,000 option. If the state gets the application ready, I don't see it. I'm hoping it doesn't drag out further, but it has been 2 years in the making.
I like skin in the game.
Well, the state has, I could be wrong on this, but the applications have opened in other parts of there's a court ruling that for the Hudson Valley and
So
someplace else.
dispensaries have opened and been given.
No, I'm talking about growing. There are growers out in Western New York. There was a court ruling that came down that had some level of impediment in the Hudson Valley and another region. I just can't remember which. And it might have been like the Mohawk Valley or something. And so I know growers' applications are up and out in Western New York. I don't think they're up and out on like Long Island, et cetera. As I think about that property, that's because you also don't want to live near one of these. There are air quality issues if you're living near a growing.
Well, we talk about scrubbers, just like down on the other.
There aren't a lot of houses out there, right?
Right. It's
There's
right
not a
on
lot of
the road, yeah.
residential, right? Which is fine.
Would that impact any ideas we have about using that 10 acres for housing?
It would not impact that, but
Well, we don't know that they're moving
Yeah.
forward, but as there's the.
it's, so we pull into Greene Business Park, Bay Green County fronts the road. You go to that end of the cul-de-sac where it stumps off. It's the 27 acres that push back from there.
Right.
How big is the facility they're proposing putting on that?
I have to look through the business plan again, but it's several greenhouses. It would be 4 separate greenhouses, 4 to 8 separate greenhouses, and then solar fields.
They're usually pretty big because they need a lot of square footage to,
Yeah.
you know.
To get capacity.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. That's probably all about square footage of what they can grow. Okay, anybody, anything else on that?
No.
So just approval to sign the option.
Okay, so I need a motion.
Make that motion.
Need a second on that?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so Save a Lot, I sent you a couple articles, already been quoted. There was a rumor on the street, we confirmed it, we did some research, that they're closing, it'll be effective February 25th. I have been in touch with their distribution manager, but there is a corporate team that I'm trying to make contact with. We'd like to initiate a conversation about that building. So the building is 20 years old. It was the first tenant that went into the business park. It's 30,000 square feet. After I sent out the agenda, we've already been approached by a couple different
It's
developers and
refrigerated too, right?
companies. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't see that building's sitting vacant too long.
So, yeah, it's gonna go.
Their pilot ended in 2018. So if you hear any rumors that, oh, their pilot ended, they're leaving, you can squash that. They've been paying full taxes for 5 years.
That's not why they're leaving.
That's not why they're leaving.
No.
Yeah, their taxes are not why they're leaving. So even trying to initiate a discussion.
Do
of-
they own the building? They own the
They own
building
the
and the
building.
land, right?
Yep.
There, it's totally
Yep,
different.
30
Yep.
acres, totally owned by them. It is in our business park, so there's some small common charges that, I work with them for mowing and the electric that goes into that park. In 2018, they had 78 employees. I don't know the exact number now since we haven't had to track them, but, I was quoted in the Business Review, Empire Merchants North is hiring with a bonus, Ferguson is hiring with a bonus. So I'm hoping that the employment is, scooped up.
I hate to say it, there's gonna be an immediate benefit to the people right in proximity to them that
Yeah.
haven't been able to hire in this environment.
They filed a warn notice, right? Is that what you said?
No.
Not yet, you
No,
said?
according to Business Review, he did that research that they haven't filed
Oh,
their
they did
notice
not. Oh.
Not yet.
about their employees. But
Well,
I'm not familiar with that.
that may or may not mean that they're under 50
Yeah, I was gonna say,
employees,
that-
right? If
yeah.
they didn't
Yeah.
file, that doesn't mean that they don't have an obligation to,
Right.
and that they just didn't meet it, but that could be one indicator of what their workforce
Yeah, it
headcount
had
was.
maybe been dwindling.
Yep.
But our administrator, Sean Groden, he walks the park all the time and he says that they seem busy, but we have done research in your folder. There's a map that shows there's just 2 distribution centers in this area, we feel that workload will probably go to Pennsylvania.
You're shifting that,
Yeah.
Wholesale from the retail.
Yeah, so I guess back in 2002, the plan was to expand all their grocery stores and that really never came to fruition.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
Well,
the
the
distribution center,
competition in
yeah.
this area is probably what's killed them in the
Yeah.
sense of Price Chopper, Walmart, you have all these
Aldi.
different, exactly, all these guys pushing this.
So like I
area.
said, it's a corporate decision. I have reached out to the team on a few things of, is there a press release that describes some of these things, because we answer to our
Have they
constituents.
communicated anything to us, April?
No, it was a rumor on the street.
Yeah.
I reached out to the local plant. There's, there's not even a general manager there right now.
Right.
So I got kicked to the corporate email. I've been trying to, now I'll set up a meeting with them.
I would imagine that they will be able to sell this and move this property pretty quick, I would think.
Yeah.
Does the IDA have any involvement or what would be our involvement in their sale?
Well,
of
we
property?
could encourage a company to come to that facility with an incentive package if we so desired to do that.
Yeah,
But like I said, the building is, 20 years old.
And or need
And we
to-
get a lot of leads from the state on distribution, looking for existing buildings. And obviously in Greene County, we don't have a lot of that inventory. So this would be our first inventory of a large distribution center.
right.
I would think if they're in that business and if they want to move that building quickly, they'll call one of their competitors or whoever and say, hey, we've got a DC that's refrigerated in a certain area that you're not, so we may not need to do anything.
Yeah.
It may just run its natural course and,
That's what it seems like.
yeah. It's not an economically distressed situation that we might not even need to be involved in.
Yeah.
So I'll keep you updated as I get more information on Save-A-Lot.
Okay.
Anything else on Save-A-Lot? So for our parks, exit 21 East, the subdivision public hearing has been set. So this is the former Quality Inland. There's 3 paths that are being subdivided in there. We're just going through the process with the planning board. Stewart's is ready to do their site plan review as soon as the subdivisions are done. Our hotel contract has been sent out to the group, and they are going under Catskill Lodging. So I'll be referring to them in the future as Catskill Lodging. So that's Southern Windsor is now Catskill Lodging. And soil borings have been scheduled. We were waiting on the permits to do that. So similar under exit 21 West, I met with the county.
Before we go on there, where are we with that contract with them? I thought we were hoping to see something inked.
Yeah, I distributed it to them. I haven't seen it back yet, Keith,
Okay.
but it should be coming back this week or next week. So I'll send them a note again because it's fully negotiated is my understanding. So I don't know what the delay has been.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So, Paul, so is this next signature basically commit them to the project and codify all the agreement to this point?
It does. They have a due diligence provision that will be coming to us for financial assistance in terms of a pilot. But yes, it does. After the expiration of the due diligence provision or contract, which I think is 60 days, they would commit to it. And, we're going forward with the approvals. So I think it's going to kind of roll together.
Okay. And they're still looking at a build in 24?
That's my understanding. Now you still have to go get your franchise and get everything done on that regard, but they did not express any problems with the ability to get that.
Okay. So they're hoping to be open by 25. Is that the idea?
I believe so. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So you had something to add?
If you like.
Go ahead.
Okay, I actually sent you a letter on behalf of this project. This is the motel down there. When I was supervisor, well, actually, I was the legislator, the county legislator, when Jay, who is the person trying to build the motel, the Hampton Inn, Jay was trying to build a Hampton Inn in Newport's, and I was the head of tourism. So I pretty much went to every planning board meeting and everything with him and stuff, and then I became the supervisor again. I've been working with Jay now ever since he's built that motel. I have to tell you that he is the greatest developer I have ever met in my entire career of being in politics. He is the most amazing person in terms of giving back. When he built the Hampton Inn in Newport, he invested in, he didn't have to fix the DOT wanted when you come down Main Street and you make the left on South Park Corners, they wanted work done there. It was not his obligation. He paid at his own expense. There was a water system that needed improvement. He upgraded the whole entire thing at his own expense and gave it back to the town. He does more for community than any one developer I have ever met. He will give free rooms, if like the fire department needs it, if the rescue squad's doing something, if the county's doing something. He is fabulous. And I actually was with him on Sunday because he's trying to do a project in Newport. So I went down to meet with the deputy mayor to help with it and stuff. So I've been talking with him about this project, and I know he's full steam ahead, and he plans on being open next summer.
Okay. So the letter she's referring to is when we sent out the RFPs, it was the letter of support for this project. So thank you.
And he actually wanted to bring me up to meet all of you, but I did it on my own.
Thank you.
But I can't say enough about him, and you'll be so happy. He's amazing.
So far, we've been working well together. So any other questions on East? Nope. Okay, so exit 21 West, I met with the county reviewing their next step. They've been having workshops on their mental health building, working on the site layout, what works. We have a meeting set up in February with our consultants to talk about our portion, the IDA portion of the road, and then the road driveway into mental health. Today, I am meeting with Dorothy Urschel, who replaced Jay Callahan for Columbia Memorial Hospital. Their option has expired, but because of this transition, I just wanted to
see where they're at.
Meet with her, yeah. I'm not sure if we want to extend the option or what our future plans are, but I wanted to know what their plans were because we've been working with them for 2 to 3 years on that site, and it is 5.7 acres.
I thought we discussed as a board that we were going to let it expire. I think we
It
should
has
certainly
expired.
ask her, right, it has, and not renew it. Now, clearly, she may ask for time or do other things.
Let's see what they say. I mean,
Right.
Yeah,
I think it's worth just at least giving them an opportunity.
reminding them that it's expired.
Yeah, I tend to.
They're part of a big system now, you know, that even though they're not, you know, they're part of an umbrella, and I'm not sure that their decisions are even theirs to make.
Sure.
So next step is, you know, now maybe that front parcel has freed up, and what is the next best and higher use, maybe retail. So with a hospital or a medical facility, we were looking at good jobs. With going towards retail, you're looking at higher sales tax. So I'll get an update, I'll send it out to the board, and then we can move forward with, you know, what we can do with that parcel.
Meeting with the county today, this afternoon?
I'm meeting with Columbia Memorial Hospital,
okay.
just a Zoom, and then I will follow up with the county.
Okay.
We talked a couple months ago about getting signage, roadside signage.
Yep, so now that this is expired, we can put up those
Yeah.
billboards.
Yeah.
We already have them printed, that the acreage is available.
Okay. And that's going to be sited down on a billboard? Are we
Yes.
talking traditional billboard, or are we talking about a,
It's a 4x8, it's a
single-use
custom-made,
billboard.
single use. It's like a 4x8, and I have an 8x8 plywood
Right.
printed signs that we'll have
Yeah.
installed.
Yeah, I would tell you need something pretty big with that type of traffic. And we're going to also put something out on 23?
We can.
Yeah. I think we got to promote ourselves here, you know, and we're, you know, with the millions of cars that are going by there, you know, a small investment in signage, I think, is well worth the, even a larger investment in signage is well worth it.
I'm all about signs, for sale signs.
You know, the Coxsackie got the New York Times.
I know, we're big time now, right?
Between the Times Union and the.
We're cool.
There'll be a
You're
parade
cool,
coming.
yes.
Yeah. That's what I said, I never thought I'd see the day, huh? Living here my whole life and getting kicked around, and now we're.
Well, now we're the cool kids.
Finally.
And that is my executive director report.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anybody have anything else?
Nope.
Minutes.
All right,
Adjourn.
Renee, Paul, do you guys have anything you want to, before we go?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that I received a notice that the Greene Development Building, which was the Dynabuild building behind Save-A-Lot, they want, I think they're in the process of selling that building, and we still have a leasehold interest on that building, so they've asked to terminate that. So I'll be sending that stuff to you, Eric, for signature. But apparently that building is being sold to the pasta companies buying it.
So
Oh, fantastic. Are they going to move? They'll move then. They won't keep both. I mean, I'm just
I'm
curious.
not sure where else they're located, but they are in the Soflini building, or the old Ducommon building.
Yeah, they are in the, yeah, is there another one that they're,
No, that's the building.
oh, so they're just going to take over
Yeah.
the whole.
So-
Okay.
They're buying it, so that will be their home.
Right, so that building was built by Green Valley Development for Ducommon. For the first 10 years, they were on the tax roll with Empire Zone benefits, and we were going to initiate a pilot. Dynabuild moved,
Right, yeah.
so we did not engage that pilot, but Paul's talking about the lease back,
Yes,
the leasehold, but we just need to end those documents.
Yes, okay, just was curious about.
Hey, Donna, it's kind of like what we did for your document there. We terminated that. It's the
Yeah.
same process. Okay.
Yeah,
April, just to circle back to housing for a minute, so you had gotten some information of other IDAs, and you're gonna send something out to us on that?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll take a look at that, and then, I think at some point, did we ever make a committee on that, or what?
We have a committee.
Okay.
So
We got a lot of committees.
just if you want to circle back to housing quick, my recommendation is probably going to be to focus on just the incentive package and let somebody else be the developer, like we would not be the developer
Sure,
on that
right.
land. So that 10 acres that we were looking at probably will get put on hold for now because it's not shovel ready. But if a developer wanted to purchase it, we could work with them on that.
So
It's
we
just,
could package basically maybe a scenario where we have some benefits and then a couple potential pieces and then market it potentially out to a developer, right?
Right.
Is that what you're thinking? I think that's.
right. So same with Exit 21 West, once we get users in the front and we build those roads in, there is a stub out point that would go back to the back acreage. There's like 40 acres back there. I'm not sure exactly what's developable, but we had discussed housing in the back. And then that would, initiate some housing back there. After speaking with the county, the IDA, we're looking at workforce housing.
Right.
Yeah.
So some of the other IDAs, when they do incentive packages, is if they have a developer coming in to build a distribution center, here's your pilot. If you're going to be putting in housing, here's a better pilot. So, those are the options that I'm trying to install
The only
in
other
policy.
last thing I'd say is when we get that package together, if we either go out to or have in, that's in the town of Cooksaki, right? That's actually not the village, that's the town, is have a couple, the town supervisor would run this by them, because we don't want to go too far down the road if their immediate reaction is, oh, we got, because they would need to be with us on this. If there's.
I would think as well, given the governor's very recent commitments across the state to housing.
Right.
That, first of all, it would not surprise me that somewhere in her budget there will be either incentives or some way to do it. But the number one issue, if you track this around the state, is zoning. And whether it's redlining or not redlining or hurdles to hurdles now, but I suspect developers around the state will be very aggressively kind of looking to leverage. So it's another, even with and reaching out to supervisors, it's also, a call to all of our municipalities in the county on whether their zoning is up for what I say a modern
Right, that's, I
sort
think there
of
could be some
look at
interest
housing.
in this, if we
Yep.
got a package together.
I would
of
agree.
Land with benefits, with some incentives that we could market or package out there, I think there could be some interest in it with a developer, or developers,
But it might be cluster development, it might be things that some of the municipalities hadn't contemplated in
They
the
have-
zoning and that
right,
they
have
need to
know
really
that
get
it's
up.
zoning approved, that the
Right.
incentives are there, and that they can do their project in a timely fashion without getting,
Yeah.
met with a wall of protests
Yeah.
or problems.
I think this is an important juncture for us.
Absolutely.
We've heard for enough years about the difficulties with the workforce. I think our posture is correct in the workforce housing. I think it's important. As a matter of fact, I'd like to ask the board at some point, maybe today, to go into a quick executive session. Because I have a couple thoughts on some parcels that I think may be very viable for this.
Okay.
But
When we wrap up, we will.
I'll be more than happy to leave.
Yeah.
I just will say very quickly, though, that actually I think there's a mandate for the governor that each municipality has to come up with at least 1% increase, like over the next couple of years for housing. So it's not even a matter of a choice for the local municipalities. They have to start to make it work.
Pick your place.
And
right,
it's really funny because, again, with Jay, the developer for this Catskill Hotel, in the meeting I was in on Sunday with the deputy mayor, we were talking about 2 potential boutique hotels in New Paltz, and she brought up the fact that we actually now have a mandate from the governor that we have to come up with affordable housing. So, and so she talked to him about, would one project want to be affordable housing instead of a hotel? So here was the village government already trying to figure out, managing, okay, what kinds of projects are coming in and will we have space to meet the mandate? So the towns and villages have to work with you.
I don't think her mandate is yet out in a statutory or legal
It might
manner.
not be.
It's in a rhetorical
Yeah.
flourish she
Yeah.
has. I think people have not, my guess is it'll show up in the budget
Yeah.
bills but yes, she has put that out there. And if you track this issue broadly, you'll see around the state a whole lot of people, frankly, in NIMBYism, also with no solution to affordable rents. For anybody, so, there's a lot, but a lot will come back to whether or not people or municipalities have a a degree of modernism and or flexibility in their, in their code. We all recall the Cooksaki development of, I can't even remember what was there. Yeah, lots of people have lots of opinions. So the municipalities will have to get their act together, as you say, for any policy that we do that marries.
And that's where our location, where we could potentially cite stuff, might be agreeable or attractive to them as well.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's what we were talking about was, you were exactly right in the sense that, it's not etched in stone yet, because I was asking, is the village gonna have to come up with 1%, and the town have to come up with 1%, or will the community of Newports have to come up with 1%?
Do some research on
And
that.
they haven't worked that out yet in terms of giving the,
That would make a significant
right,
difference on
and that
how
makes a
they-
difference, if it's a town or the village both have to come up with it, or if it's a community at large, kind of.
And are we talking 1% of rooftops, 1% of what?
I think.
So I say it's not memorialized. That's,
I think it's a amount of housing, so it'd probably be like how many apartments you can build, that if you have.
So the
I'm saying, I don't
demographics
know
on
for sure,
housing.
but say like Newports, for example, say they had 10,000, then they have to come up with another 1,000. Is what I think,
Yeah.
but again, it's being worked on, it's just that was the meat and potatoes of the state of the state, was pretty much housing.
Gotcha.
I do work for the state, just so you do know.
Hey, April,
Yes.
April, in the position, on the question of zoning, take a look at the village, take a look at the town of Coxsackie zoning, because what, the IDA played a role on that committee. In 2008, when the zoning was rewritten, there was a overlay district created up there on 9W, which was basically a residential over commercial zoning classification, which is essentially what a mixed use is. So look and see, I would tell you before you talk to the town, look and see if that applies to that area first. Or at least be aware of it, because I bet you they're not. They probably forgot about it. But there is already along a substantial section, an overlay district that allows for mixed use, essentially allows residential to be over top of commercial properties.
Okay.
Okay.
So as we go into executive session,
Later.
people on Zoom will get blacked out. So I can Renee left anyway. Fred, if you want to call on my cell phone, or I can fill you in after the meeting. He's probably on mute.
Just whichever works, you can call me back or I'll call your cell.
Okay, you want to call my cell, and I'll include you in on the executive session.
Rachel or April, you call my cell. I don't have your number saved.
I'll call you right now. Okay, we're going to go into executive session. You'll see a black screen. Paul, you're good?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, when we go into executive session, we're going to lose you.
Do you want me on the executive session, or I can call?
We're just going to talk about parcels for the housing, okay?
No problem. If you want my input, I'm happy to provide anything if that
Okay.
helps.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Paul.
See you. Bye.
Okay, Fred. Fred.